Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Going the Distance. This is episode 13. Lucky 13, can you believe it? We've done 13 episodes. So I want to welcome the new members that are first time. I would love for it if you liked and subscribed to the video and commented on the stuff that we talk about today. I want to welcome back the viewers that have been with me from the beginning. So we got some football news, we've got the start of the UFL, I've got some NBA news, and I've got some music news. And I'm going to do my top 5 favorite albums of all time. So let's jump into it. So it was reported that the Cowboys and Ezekiel Elliott are mutually want to have a reunion. So Zeke's still out there, and I was thinking, where would Zeke fit in? And as far as I was concerned, he should have never left the Cowboys. But he might come back and join the Cowboys, so that would be great. So when that happens, I'll let you guys know. So yesterday, it was reported that ex-NFL cornerback Vontae Davis passed away at the age of 35. His cause of death is yet to be determined, but my thoughts and prayers are with his family and friends. I can remember watching him play. He played for the Bills, the Dolphins, and a couple other teams. But I recognize him from the Bills. So that's just some sad news, y'all. I hate to hear that happen because he's my age and it's just hard to deal with. So next was a story that I had kind of been following for a while but didn't want to say anything because I didn't know all the details. Well, I know some of the details, so I'm going to tell you a little bit. So Chiefs wide receiver Rashid Rice, who's one of their big playmakers, one of Mahomes' go-to guys, was involved in a car accident on Saturday in Dallas. Well, I saw there was a warrant out for his arrest, and what was going on. So he's cooperating with police, but he was involved in a car accident. That the car was registered in his name is what I'm seeing that is reported. So it's his car. He could probably come out and say all day, "Oh, somebody else had my car. I let somebody borrow it." He was in the car, and he thought he could get away with a car accident and all that. So he's cooperating with police on this car accident that happened in Dallas. So I'll keep you guys updated on that story as I get more. I saw that he was talking with them yesterday about it. So it was also reported, speaking of the Chiefs, that the Chiefs signed a veteran backup quarterback in Carson Wentz to a 1-year deal. Kind of don't see Carson seeing the field because Mahomes doesn't get hurt. So as far as I can see, it's Mahomes, it's Blaine Gabbert, and it's Carson Wentz on the roster now as quarterbacks. So we'll see if Carson gets any time. We'll see just what happens. So that's all the football news I have. So now let's move on into some March Madness. So on Sunday, it was the Elite Eight, I believe, and NC State defeated Duke, which was a huge surprise for me, 76-54. So now State moves on into the Final Four, and it's their first Final Four in 44 years. And State goes on to play Purdue, who beat Tennessee 72-66 on Sunday. So that ought to be a good one. And number 4 Alabama is going to play Connecticut on Saturday. So the State-Purdue game is at 6:09, and Alabama-Connecticut is at 8:50. Both games are on TBS. So that after those games, it determines which teams play for the championship. Honestly, I'd like to see it be State and Connecticut because, they've always got that Cinderella story, and NC State is that Cinderella story this year. So I'd like it now if State would bring the title home and, finish that Cinderella story because it is definitely something nobody saw coming. So now we're going to move on into week 1 of the UFL. Now, I was really excited about this, and I don't know about y'all, but that first game between the Stallions and the Renegades, I really looked forward to because it was the champion of the UFL against the champion of the XFL. So the Stallions was the USFL, and they defeated the Renegades of the XFL 27-14. Now, I noticed going through this that a lot of the teams that played this week were XFL versus USFL teams. There was only one game that wasn't that were two XFL teams. But I'm going to run through the scores and give you what division they were in before the UFL started. So, as I said, the Stallions were the USFL, Renegades were the XFL, and that final score was 27-14. The Battlehawks, who were the XFL, got defeated by the USFL Panthers. Panthers beat Battlehawks 18-16. The Brohams of the XFL defeated the Defenders of the XFL 27-12. Now, you can go through and see what state they all were in. I'm just giving you the division or the conference they were in. The Showboaters of the USFL defeated the Roughnecks of the XFL 18-12. And I believe that was all of them for the week. So, as I could see it, it looked like the USFL was the better league this year, or, this week. But we'll see next week how it goes. Next, they do games on Saturday and Sunday. So, I'll give you guys updates every week on what the scores are and when the games are and all that. So I'll probably do a video Friday, or a short updating you guys on the games and what times they are and when you can catch them. So now we're going to go into some NBA news. And NBA star Rajon Rondo retired from the NBA after 16 seasons. He played for 10 teams and won 2 NBA titles. One of the titles was with the Boston Celtics when they were the team, and it was Boston versus the Lakers. And then he won his second championship with the Miami Heat, and they defeated the Lakers back, when they won. So I honestly believe that Rajon Rondo will be a commentator somewhere. He'll either be on NBA TV or he'll go to TBS or TNT and do their NBA coverage. So I just want to congratulate Rajon Rondo on a great career and can't wait to see what you do in the future. So that was all the sports news. So now we're going to get into some music news, and I've got a lot of music news to get into today. So what we're listening to this week is Chris Young, and I'm actually listening to him right now. He released a brand new CD last month, March 22nd. It's called Young Love and Saturday Night. And it just came out March 22nd. I'm listening to it. It's a great album. His last album was in 2001. It's called Famous Friends. He had songs like Drowning, Rescue Me, At the End of This Bar. He had a song called Town Ain't Big Enough, which was a duet with Lauren Elena, and his title track, Famous Friends, was a duet with Kane Brown. His song Drowning was about his best friend who passed away. And it was how he thought about him, and that was him drowning in the memories of it. So he's had 9 albums. I've heard all of them. All of them have been great albums. He came to fruition. Not to fruition, but to stardom as the winner of Nashville Star in season 4 in 2006. Now, Nashville Star, I believe, had 9 seasons and produced stars like Buddy Jewell, who won the first season, who was real successful right after he won, but like all stars, after a while, he gets dropped from his label and goes into some independent stuff. Another person that came out of Nashville Star, I believe it was season 1, came in 3rd place, was Miranda Lambert, and we all know about her. I've never been a huge fan, but okay. But back to Chris. So I was lucky enough to see him when he toured with Jason Aldean on Jason's My Kind of Party tour. It was Jason, Thompson Square, and Chris back on my birthday in August of 2011. He was at a state fair, Missouri State Fair, and I got tickets and went and saw him. I found out about him through his Neon album, which is another great album. That was the album he was touring with when I went and saw him. He's had 13 number ones, and I just want everybody to go check out his new album, Young Love and Saturday Night. And let me know what you guys think of Chris. He happens to be one of my favorite country artists. He's from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and he's just got this real smooth voice about him. So now we're going to move into some of the, in my opinion, the greatest albums of all time. Now, I'd love to hear y'all's greatest albums of all time. So, if you agree with my list, let me know what your favorite songs are on this list, what your greatest albums are, when they were released, that type of stuff. So we're going to start out with number 1, and obviously it's going to be Yourself or Someone Like You from Matchbox 20. It was released in October of 96, and it was their debut album. And it produced 5 singles in Push, Real World, Back to Good, 3 a.m., and, it's a great album. So, y'all go check it out. My favorite song on it is Back to Good. And it just, you could hear the emotion in Rob's voice as he's singing it. And it's just, it's just something that, it's just a great one. And I grew up listening to it. That's how I fell in love with Matchbox 20. And Matchbox 20 being my favorite band, to be introduced to them like this, how can you not love it? So, number 2 is Hybrid Theory from Linkin Park. Now, this was released in 2000, and it produced 4 singles. In the End, One Step Closer, Crawling. It's a great album, and Chester's Chester's vocals on that album are just absolutely phenomenal. Again, you can hear the emotion. It's how I became introduced to the nu metal genre, which turns out to be one of my favorite genres. Paper Cut was that other single from that album. And it just, One Step Closer is one of my favorite songs from them, is actually my favorite song from them. And that happens to be on the debut album. Number 3 in my all-time favorite bands is Silver Side Up by Nickelback. Got to put some Nickelback in there. It was released on September 11th, 2001. And it was their third album. So it was their junior album. It produced 3 singles in Never Again, How You Remind Me, and Too Bad. And my favorite song was actually not a single. And I do love the singles. Don't get me wrong. I love the singles. But my favorite song on that CD is Hangnail. And it's hard. It's got, just a lot of drums. It's a hard riff. You can hear Chad's vocals in it are just, you can just hear it. You can hear the emotion coming out in Chad through that album. And it's just something that, it's a work of art almost. All these albums, in my opinion, are just works of art. And the emotion in it and the pain they feel. You can feel the emotion as you listen to it. And you follow the story with them, like, through it all. So that was my third greatest. My fourth greatest album of all time is Medora from Linkin Park. This was released in 2003 and had 5 singles on it. And those 5 singles were Breaking the Habit, Somewhere I Belong, Faint, Numb, and From the Inside. Again, you can hear the emotion and the pain and just the anger, as you could hear in Hybrid Theory, the anger in all the songs in Medora. Now, my favorite song, again, like Silver Side Up from Nickelback, was not a single. And that song was Figure 9 off of the Medora album. Now, I've got several favorites, but my all-time favorite would be Figure 9. As on all these albums, there's not a bad song on them, and it's hard for me to pick a favorite. So, I picked it, Figure 9. And to round out my top 5, we have All the Right Reasons from Nickelback. Yes, you guessed it. All the Right Reasons from Nickelback. Now, this album was actually Nickelback's most successful album. And you're like, how can that be? How can that be? I had no idea. But when you go back and you look at the singles that they had on this album, it makes a whole lot of sense. And it produced singles like Saving Me, Far Away, Rockstar, Animals, If Everyone Cared, Side of a Bullet, and Photograph. Now, Nickelback gets a lot of flack for Photograph, and I don't understand why. I don't understand why Nickelback gets all the flack they get anyway, all the hate that they get. But my favorite song from that album is Far Away. Now, as these albums get older, they release anniversary versions of the album and box sets. Like Hybrid Theory released a box set of their 20th, or Linkin Park released a box set of Hybrid Theory to celebrate 20 years. They released a box set of Medora when they had 20 years of Medora. I've got them both. I love them both. Nickelback released a anniversary CD of All the Right Reasons when they hit 15 years. Now, I can't believe I've been listening to Nickelback's All the Right Reasons for 15 years, and I've been jamming out to songs like Far Away. Well, not jamming for Far Away, but listening, singing Far Away, singing Saving Me, jamming out to Animals, Side of a Bullet, Rock Stars. 15, probably closer to 20 years now of Rockstar. I mean, when I saw Nickelback live, I believe it was the second time, as a headliner, they were touring on the All the Right Reasons tour. And now here, I've saw them last year for the third time on their Get Rollin' tour. So, I mean, there's just a lot of things about all these bands that I love. So I would love for y'all to write in the comments what are y'all's top 5 albums? What are y'all's top 5 singles? And what do you love about the album? What are y'all's favorite songs from the album and when were they released? If you drop them in the comments, I'll listen to them and I'll let you guys know what I think about it. So, as we wrap up today, I want to give you guys a little motivation. So, I've been thinking a lot about it, and I've been thinking about motivational quotes. Well, one of my favorite motivational quotes, and something that I kind of, tell other people is, strong storms don't last, but strong people do. And that just means, you might be going through a hard time, work might not be going right, everything you just might feel like everything's, just not working. But God always knows what you're going through. And He never gives you never gives you a problem that you can't solve and that He can't solve, because He knows the answer and He's there to help you. And He gives His strongest storms to His faithful warriors. So if you're going through a tough time, just know that the strong storms won't last, but you as a strong person will, because this storm will blow through and you will be okay in the end. So I hope everybody had a good Easter, and I want to thank you guys for going the distance with me. And if you guys join me next week, we can go the distance together. I'd love it if you guys put a like in there, hit a like on this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit a notification to know that every time I post a video, you guys can see it. Alright guys, I hope you guys have a good rest of the week and have a great weekend, and we will go the distance again next week. Have a good weekend, y'all.